Welcome to the Fit and Fresh Life podcast, where together we'll be exploring the science of you. I'm your host, Natalie Marie Collins, and I invite you to join me on this journey as we discover who it is you really are and how you're designed to operate in this world, in business and life, and how to balance and understand it all through the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, human design, and the elements. So today in episode 4, we're going to be exploring time and productivity, and more specifically, how to lay out your day according to Ayurveda. This is something that I've been fascinated by, and I'm working on creating new habits around in my daily life. Basically, seeing what's working, what's not working, how I can shift it and get into the natural flow of life to make things so much easier. Now, you've heard of rhythms and cycles before, right? Everything has its flow. There are circadian rhythms pretty much everywhere we look. If you've never looked into circadian rhythms and you're an entrepreneur, I highly suggest that you do, because it'll help you understand the natural cycle of not only nature, but also people, especially if you're creating courses, launches, and even workshops. It's in the years where things happen annually around the same time every year, including things like birthdays, marketing events, concerts, holidays, things we love and look forward to every year. Traditions are built on this rhythm. Seasons happen on a rhythm the same as our calendar quarters do. Not at the same time, of course, but they both have patterns to them and follow a natural flow. So in 2015, my husband Lee had a massive heart attack at age 44. This took everyone by surprise, even him. I was out of state at the time at a woman's mastermind retreat, and when I got the call that this was happening, I ended up going into total shock from this, because this was, really, this was the love of my life, and I almost lost him. And I ended up driving the 7 hours back home, and that became a really surreal time of realizing what had just happened. After bringing him home from the hospital, it hit me even harder. I sat on the couch for an entire day, not being able to do anything besides stare at the wall and periodically cry. I had almost lost the love of my life. Of course, I was grateful he was still around, but the shock of it had hit me like a ton of bricks, which in and of itself was shocking that I ended up sitting there in some weird state of paralysis. So while not being able to move off the couch due to such a traumatic shock running through my system, this connection dawned on me. In business, there is a natural rhythm built into them through the forms of quarters. Quarterly goals, quarterly bonuses, and even quarterly taxes. Even the normal consulting client cycle and membership attention span is around 3 months. The 3-month time frame is built into our life and business automatically and naturally. This became the foundation of the Biz Plan book. Inside the Biz Plan book, the workbook helps people break down their big ideas into quarterly, monthly, weekly, even daily ideas so that they can know exactly what they're talking about in creating blogs, newsletters, courses, and more. I tell you this because there's something really cool I recently learned in Ayurveda. While reading through The Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda by Sahara Rose, she explains this beautifully in chapter 9. I'm going to talk through this and give you the Cliff Notes version here. So Ayurveda teaches us that there's a rhythm that happens every day that correlates with the doshas. Imagine with me a clock. I'll add a visual on this in the show notes at fitandfreshlife.com/podcast/004 for you. So this clock, according to Ayurveda, it says that there are 6 4-hour periods that happen each day. Each period relates to a certain dosha and repeats twice throughout the day. It starts with Kapha time, going from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and again from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's during these times that it's associated with the rising and falling of the sun. It's grounded earth energy and shows that the earth is preparing for the day and settling down for the night. It's the time of day when you should be slowly preparing your body for the day and then settling it down for the evening. The peak of the day and night are Pitta time, going from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and then again from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. This is when the energy of the day is at its strongest and sharpest. It also correlates with the heat of the day and the darkness of the night, both very powerful energies. The creative time of day is associated with Vata time, going from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and again from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Because it's the transition between day and night, it represents this dreamlike state where your most active daydreams and night dreams like to play. As a society, we aren't trained to plan or go about our day according to this energy of the day. Instead, we are trained to get up quickly and go straight into the hustle and grind. What I started to tap into while I sat there on the couch in shock was the beginning of the recognition of this. One of the super cool things I love about Ayurveda is that it teaches that we are our own best healer, and through balance, we can live a healthy life. It's also very natural and intuitive, so much so that you may be practicing many parts of Ayurveda and not even realize it. So this system helps us to tap into that deeper wisdom more effectively so that we can truly feel what is right for us. It was after the shock of the heart attack that I started to structure my day where I didn't start working until 10 a.m., which, if you'll remember just a minute ago, is the beginning of Pitta time. I started naturally tapping into this rhythm. So what if we all started to tap into the energy of the day? What if we started to live our lives inside of this flow? What would that look like exactly? When I recently heard about the doshas as times of day, this really started to make a lot of sense to me and also tickled me quite a bit. Because I'm an entrepreneur and work from home, I've had the luxury over the past several years to be able to play with this more and see how this really works. Now that I'm aware of these time periods, I'm really creating the structure of my day with more intention and going with the flow of the doshas. Since moving from Atlanta, which is East Coast time, to Utah, which is Mountain time, some of my standard appointments that were at 10 a.m. on the East Coast are now at 8 a.m. on Mountain time. So the adjustment hasn't been as seamless as I've wanted it to be, but I can still work with this on most days. So let's look at what this might look like exactly. Let's explore what all of these really mean according to Ayurveda and how you can put it into practice for yourself. Because what I've discovered and experimented with is that the more you follow this Ayurvedic schedule, the more effective at all of your tasks you become because you are working with and not against your own nature. On page 120 in the Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda, it states that Ayurveda has found that if you want to function at your optimal potential, you must schedule your day with the solar and lunar cycles. This means rise with the sun when the sun rises, building your energy as the sun increases in the sky, eating your biggest meal when the sun is at its peak, and descending your energy with the sun afterwards. So let's dive into this. So Kapha time, if you remember, is from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. It is recommended that you start your day right before the sun rises. As the sun wakes up the earth, you wake up with the earth as well. Ayurveda recommends to start the day slowly and in tranquility. To do this, you should watch the sun rise in meditation before the stress of the day begins. It also teaches that if you don't want to feel tired throughout the day, don't sleep through Kapha time. If you sleep through it, you'll increase the heavy energy in your body and carry it with you throughout the day. To avoid this, wake up right before 6 a.m. This is also the best time to exercise, starting with a light exercise to get your body moving, like yoga, light stretching, or even jumping jacks, then moving into your more normal exercise. I personally pop over to Orange Theory Fitness and always go so that my workout ends before 10 a.m. I'm usually there between 8 or 9 a.m. It's also recommended to not eat before you exercise because the workout will help you increase your metabolism for the rest of the day. I don't know about you, but I can't stand to exercise with food in my system at all. I don't like exercising at night because it throws my stomach off. And let's face it, I'm usually out of energy by then anyways. But in the mornings, I do need just a little something in my system to just help me balance my blood sugar and get my system going so I don't crash right after my workout. So what I do is I drink a cup of bio coffee with a scoop of collagen, and sometimes, depending on what my body wants or not, I'll add some powdered MCT oil to it to help get me going. I find that this gives me just enough energy to make it through my morning workout without adding any extra weight to my stomach. With this, I've never once gotten an upset stomach while working out with this mixture. Do what works best for you though. If you need a protein shake beforehand, do it. Bowl of oatmeal, go for it. I like to take a protein shake with me and have mine ready to go in the car with me for when I'm done. Ayurveda also suggests that eating a light, easy to digest breakfast during Kapha time is best. So if that means a protein shake for you or a green smoothie, then perfect. Now let's move on to Pitta time. Pitta time, if you remember, is between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Once you've woken up during Kapha time, that's when the fire of the day really starts to kick in. Your energy builds as the sun rises in the sky, so you're able to accomplish the more difficult tasks during this time and get a lot done. Noon is also the time when your digestive fire or metabolism and stomach acids are at their highest and ready to digest more. It's recommended that you should make the most of this time by scheduling your hardest tasks and have your biggest meals during Pitta time. This is the time to essentially eat that frog. For me personally, this is the time I do most of my work during the day, including coaching calls, mapping out structures, systems, and frameworks. And I normally eat my light meal right around 10 a.m., right at the start of Pitta time. And I don't eat my big meal until around 2 p.m., sometimes a little earlier, but that's been the timing that I like to tap into, and that has so far always worked best for me. This is also more of left brain activity time, meaning the more logical, structured, and practical things that are best accomplished during this time. It's not for creative time because your mind hasn't had enough time to really wake up and get into that space yet. Creative time is for Vata time. Vata time is between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. It's what's considered to be the visionary time. This is the best time to tap into your creativity, doing lighter, more fun tasks, and even more social activities. Hello, happy hour. It's supposed to be the best time for writing, producing, painting, designing, and planning future endeavors. It's the time to tap into your imagination. It's also the best time for daydreaming. So if you like to stare out the window and think, this is the best time to do it. If you're a part of a team, this is the best time to have those important brainstorming sessions or even mastermind calls. There's a reason why people dread meetings first thing in the morning. It's not time for them yet. If the meetings are meant for more logical discussions, having those right before or right as Pitta time is starting so that the team is ready to go as soon as they get done with the meeting, perfect. And if it's a meeting to tap into that creative side, have those on or after 2 p.m. If you're an entrepreneur or freelancer, this may be the perfect time for you to head to the local coffee shop and get your creative project done while being surrounded by a social environment. The best of both worlds. Then before around 6 p.m., Ayurveda recommends that you have a light, easy to digest meal like soups, lentils, or grains so that your body can digest it easily before you go to bed. Eating a heavy meal before bed doesn't leave your body enough time to digest it, which means it gets stuck in your intestinal tract overnight. That can cause indigestion, weight gain, and can even become toxic in your system. No bueno. So if you're eating after 6 p.m., you've entered into Kapha time and your digestive system slows down and isn't as strong because it's preparing for sleep, which means eating a light meal is even more important during this time. Be sure to give your body enough time to digest your food before you go to sleep. So from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., your body is winding down for the day. It's the time to slow down. Take a nice walk around the block, watch the sunset, do your bedtime routines, and head off to bed. Be sure to put all of your technology away about 1 to 2 hours before bedtime to help you relax your mind so that you have better sleep. If you have a hard time falling asleep, do things to relax and slowly turn off your mind, like read a book, not on your electronics to avoid the blue light, and take a bath or whatever works best for you. From 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., we enter back into Pitta time. If you happen to be awake past 10 p.m., you may notice that you get that second wind happening. This is when those young adults start hitting the bars and nightclubs for their social time. What they're doing is they're riding the second burst of energy that happens during this time. It's also fires back up your digestive system. And if you're still awake, you may find yourself reaching for that midnight snack. If you're not out prowling the night scene and want to avoid this second wind, be sure you're in bed with your lights off by 10 p.m. This becomes the most productive, deep, relaxing sleep time you can get. According to Ayurveda, the sleep you get before midnight is the most healing of the night. So if you can fall asleep right before 10 p.m., you'll get the most out of this healing time. Then we enter into this last state of Vata from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This time is the time of deep dreaming and believed that the veils between the universe and the earth are lifted, so you can gain really deep insights during this time. It's also the best time to practice early morning meditation because you can go deeper into your psyche without distractions. And because it's Vata time, it's when you can really tap into that creative time again. A lot of artists find themselves up during this time and getting some of their best ideas and work done. This may also be the time when an idea hits you like a bolt of lightning in your sleep and causes you to jump out of bed and hurry and write it down before you lose it. Be sure to have a notebook and pen handy for those times. So that brings us back around to the close of the 24-hour cycle. Wasn't this fascinating? Since learning about the cycles that happens each and every day, I've really been paying attention to it and working on structuring my day around it to become more in the flow of it all. Once I saw it, it made so much sense to me, and I hope it makes a lot of sense to you too. I know this has been a lot to digest. I invite you to start playing with and tapping into this flow during the day and seeing what happens. For me, some aspects have been easier to follow than others, and it has been a bit more challenging to get out of the conditioning of the hustle-driven society that we're in and into the natural rhythm that nature gives us. But I know it's possible because it just feels right to me. And so this is what I've been experimenting with of what works and what doesn't work, and really getting into this flow. All right. So that's all for this episode. To view the show notes and get links to the things that I've shared in this episode, head over to fitandfreshlife.com/podcast/004. And if you want to add to this conversation, leave a comment over on the show notes page and we'll continue it there. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.